Okay, so I have that there. So while we're doing this and let people tune in, come in, and if they have any questions or whatever the case may be, just go ahead and ask them. I would say I do have the workshop I was working on. I have the table of contents. I have the branches. Uh, then it's just building this up so that I have it. I just need to make logos and stuff for every single item and then use it this way. But this way, I wish I can have this scrolling. So that way it like scrolls up and down while I'm doing this. So I can show people what it is I'm showing them. That way it has the percentages and the numbers in there. And it's showing it. But yeah, that way we just have it this way, just to record them while I'm working on PowerPoint and just adding more stuff to it. So I have some stuff that I already started on. I have the active duty piece. That's what I could continue doing. The House of Committee and Veteran Affairs, that's something that I have already information on, that just basically there to answer to and just quickly give answers. But this is just basically a visual of the 2025 disability rates with a 2.5% increase. We are just highlighting that. Our video is complete. I just need to actually start filling in the numbers, which maybe I should do that. Might do that instead and start filling up the numbers so I can complete the video and then be able to just put the video in there. Hey, Anders, no problem. Glad it can assist you. But yeah, that's something here. Is just the info here, because I know it's been updated. It's 2.5. The only thing is like I hadn't finished like the video yet, because I was looking at different sites and stuff, and different sites were giving me different information, which was weird to me, because it was just like different websites were saying, oh, this is a 2.5 raise, this is what you should be getting, and then others were not doing that, and then some were showing like this one here, it shows it, but then there's a section, like if you look at the va.gov version of it, there's a section where basically it highlights hold on, give me a sec. It highlights with parents, without parents. So if you look at the VA site, it shows you the different information there. Started 2 years ago and had a good experience. It's important to learn this well before you separate your time. Yeah, and Anders, that's the reason I do these. I do the workshops every Sunday, and it's difficult to reach out to active duty service members because of the fact that nobody pays attention to this when they're separating or they're retiring. The first instance you get of actually learning about this is like when you're like 6 months out and you're looking into it. It's just like, yo, how much money am I going to get through disability, or how do I even file this and stuff like that. So I think it's important to try to reach out to active duty to try to get them ahead of the curve, which would only benefit them in the long run. Because the thing is a lot of the times, like in my instance, me getting out, I decided I was going to get out a year prior. So once that hit for me, it was just like, this is what I'm going to do. A year prior, this is what I'm going to do. Let me do my research now. A lot of other service members don't have that. A lot of the other service members, what happens with them is just like, some decide last second. Some decide when it's time to like when it's like at that final moment, it's just like, you know what, I'm gonna get orders, I'm gonna ETS. Or basically when they start asking you the question like, hey, are you ETSing or are you re-enlisting? Some decide to actually re-enlist, and then some decide, no, I'm gonna get out. And then they run into a lot of problems because of the fact that they don't have the information. They don't have nothing to go off of. It's literally you're in a rush, and then depending on the unit that you're in, some units let you go through the process. Well, if you're retiring, nobody's gonna mess with you getting out. But that PFC, that private or that specialist, or even a sergeant sometimes, an E5 sergeant, they get to the point where it's just like, you know what? Either we had this field training, or you just got back from NTC or JRTC. You got from any one of those rotations, you got back, and it's just like, oh damn. Now I got to figure out how to process all this stuff and how to get out of the army in a limited time frame. And then a lot of them end up missing out on the whole aspect of like the BDD program, which is the benefits by delivery of discharge. Which, if you use that, you basically have your information and you have your rating by the time you get out of service. So basically, within a week or two of your ETS date, you already know what your rating is. And a lot of people don't get that, and a lot of people don't understand that. That's very crucial information. If you can know before time, like, well, not because you're not gonna know before time, but if you know like at least a month within you getting out, like, hey, I'm gonna be receiving this amount of money or this paycheck, it goes a long way in preparing it. Because the thing is the problem is with a lot of newer soldiers is just like they do that one contract and it's just like they got no idea what they planning to do. The army was providing, at least for me, it was I was in the army, so the army provided a lot for me when I got in, but I joined at a later age. So joining at a later age gave me the opportunity to know how life is outside the military. I was a civilian first. I understood being a civilian, living on my own, paying my own bills, paying all that stuff, and then joining the military. It was just like, this is pretty easy. I was like, they provide all this for me too, so it's just like the expenditures isn't the same. But when you just getting out and you don't know how to file for a disability claim, which I would have to ask you, like, when you went through the process of getting out, how do you feel your VA brief was? Because that's one thing I've been wanting to ask more veterans now when I get more people in here. It's just like, what do you think? Like what information would have benefited you while you were getting out in that transition period? Because that's the question I want to ask more veterans now. Is because I'm developing like a digital product basically to help assist veterans that are transitioning out and also veterans that have been out for a while. But the question is just like, what information would you have liked while you were transitioning out of the military that would have been more beneficial to you if you knew before you were getting out? So not the stuff that you already learned after, because I'm still learning stuff while I'm teaching people. I'm still learning more and more stuff about benefits, entitlements, exemptions, dependent, all that stuff. I keep learning more and more stuff, and I try pushing these out on these things. Like this one is just a random live I just decided to do, but um, it's just what information would have benefited you more when you were transitioning out of the military, because that's where I want to revolve, and I want to make sure that that digital product hits more of. I'm not really concerned. I am concerned because I'm still going to explain everything throughout as a veteran, like disability claims, how to file them, secondaries, and all that stuff. But it's just like, how can we better prepare people before they transition out the military so that they have a better way going? And then also with the people that have been out for years already. Because I just had somebody this past, think it was this past Thursday, that they had been out of the military for like 30 something plus years, and then they decided to try to file, and they filed and they got denied. And I was trying to explain to her that just because you have a nexus letter, you have journals, and you have articles showing the issue that you have to remember that if it wasn't service connected and you don't have that service like documentation in the system, you have to show throughout that time period how it was service connected. Because the thing is you can say, a doctor could say, yeah, it was caused by this. But if you've been out for 20 something years, you have to connect the dots from that time you left service to those 20 years of how it got worse through time because of the military. because of your time in the military. So if you had, in her case, she had flat feet. She had it before she joined, so she had it diagnosed before she joined the military. She had flat feet. She went through the service time, didn't notate it, didn't get it documented. Now, in that case, she decided to try to file now, like 20 something plus years after the fact. You have to draw that line to connect it for the VA for those 20 something years. So I know that's difficult, but it's something that you have to make sure you put in that nexus letter or you put in that documentation so that it makes that connection easier for you. Because if you're going that long of a time period without filing, the VA doesn't take it as, oh, you know, we messed you up. The VA starts looking at it as like maybe you got injured within these 20 years after your military time, not during time, after. So you have to make sure if a nexus letter is going to provide that, it's just like, hey, I've been seeing this client for the past 15 plus years. And for the past 15 years, I've seen her flat fee has gotten worse. And when I first started seeing her, she had already told me about the issues when she dealt with it while in service. Now that's a better way of having a nexus letter because now it connects the time from your time in service till the time you started getting seen 5 years after, and then the 15 to 20 years after the fact, connecting all that info. Because now it shows that it's just like, hey, it happened in service, you were dealing with it, you got help after the fact, and it's been getting worse and you've just been seen. So now you have documentation for all those years showing it. The problem is that sometimes you change providers, change doctors, or you move somewhere else, and that influences and changes a lot of the information. So that's where a lot of veterans fail to get that information, and that's just stuff like, hey, that's stuff we need to make sure we're keeping in mind because that changes so much. That little slight information can change, and that little documentation being said there, it changes a lot. No problem. No problem, Anders. Appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate the subscription. But yeah, that's a lot of the stuff that people don't understand. It's just like there's tons of channels on YouTube for it, but the thing is like you need to show people the information where it's at, like on a .gov site or the stuff that you need to do. I submitted a claim. The judge agreed on everything 100%, but I also had Triumph, in which is line 16. They said it was moot point. He kicked it back on Triumph. So you got something kicked back because you were 100 TDI. Oh, you okay? So you got TDIU. Then he said it was no. So are you still on TDIU, or did you get to 100% permanent in total? Because the thing is that's also a tricky situation with TDIU. It's just like you have the TDIU, and then it's if you're filing extra stuff, you have to file on top of it. So then it goes into the TDIU, which you should still be collecting, but it's you trying to get to the 100% PNT, which is totally different also, and it comes with extra benefits that the TDIU doesn't cover. But if a judge is kicking it back because it's a moot point, I don't know. I'm not sure what the specifics are for that, because that's the thing. There's certain things the judge may just see it as just like, hey, you already got your 100%, and it's something that doesn't contribute to the 100%. Then it might get eligible on claim I submitted to. So you got 100%, but they kicked back the TDIU. Angel, hold on. Because the thing is for the TDIU, if you got 100% and your PNT, you don't need to file for TDIU, because basically 100% PNT is above the TDIU. Because the TDIU is when you have basically a percentage of 70 for a rating and then another one of 40 above, and that gets you to that point, and they're giving you TDIU because you're unemployable. So if you got to 100% PNT, they basically kick back your TDIU because you're better off with 100% PNT, because now all your ratings of all your disabilities got you to 100% P&T, and there's no unemployability, so you don't have to worry about a income level. So you would have to make less than the income level of, I think it's like 15,000, like something before that. Yeah, so if you had the same claims where and you got to 100%, they basically denied the TDIU because you made it to 100% P&T. So basically, it's like you were filing for TDIU, but they saw with the claims you did that you made it to 100% P&T, so they didn't basically need that. Um, Angel, what's up, man? I have a cue from a parachute injury during jump school. If I hire an attorney, will the appeal cover all of my pending claims, or do I need a special POA just for the cue? Ooh, Angel, I am not sure on that. On that question, I am not completely sure. Because the thing is you would have to that might you would have to probably ask the attorney if you're gonna hire them for that, if that's what happens. Because I'm not sure. Because basically, you're saying that you have claims already pending, but then you're planning to get an attorney to take care of something else. It would probably be more beneficial for you to have, if you're able to have that attorney cover everything, so that it's not two different items. Because basically you have claims already, but now you want to file a different claim which you're using an attorney for. That's going to, I would say that would probably cause more difficulty for you, because now you're going to have to deal with one issue here and then another issue there, where if that attorney can cover all of them, it would probably be best to do it that way. I'm not sure if a power of attorney would probably be, at least this is from mine. I would suggest you still ask somebody, like ask that attorney that you may try to hire, or ask I'm not even sure who you would go and ask on that. But for my suggestion, it would definitely be better to have the attorney covering everything, because then he can see everything on there and he can use that to help justify the stuff. Because basically, if you have claims that are already pending that he doesn't know about, it may hurt him when it comes to defending you or trying to push for something with the parachute injury. You see what I'm saying? At least that's my way of thinking about it. Because if you're doing two separate things, you're already waiting on claims. You have to see if those claims are there. Because if those claims, say, are beneficial to you getting and showing the parachute injury and how it's linked to each other, it's easier for that attorney to use that. Because it's like, yeah, you got the injury during jump school, and that's why you file for these claims. And that's why these claims are going to get approved or are service connected because of that. And then you see what I'm saying? If you're separating it, it makes it a bit more different, because now you're separating two different things, which may contribute to the same thing. That's what I'm saying, Daniel. So basically, you submitted your claim for TDIU. So you got to remember, when there's 100%, there's four different types of 100%. There's 100% scheduler, which is basically you're at 100%, but you're the VA sees it as you're not going to. It's not automatic that you may get better. That's the scheduler one. That's 100%. Then you got the temporary. The temporary 100% is when you go and you get, let's say you get a surgery, you end up with 100% there, and that's for that time period where they know you're going to go through surgery, you're going to have recovery time, so they'll pay you at 100% for there. You have TDIU, which is the total unemployability one, and the individual unemployability one. When you go for that one, it's basically because you don't have 100%. You're not 100%. You have different issues or different claims that are, at least one is 70% and the other ones are at least 40 or more. And when they combine those, it still doesn't get you 100%. But you are claiming TDIU because it means you cannot work. You are unable to sustain a regular job because of those disabilities that you have. So what happened was you submitted it. No, so they'll give you the thing is when you're permanent in total, it's basically them telling you that they know that your issues are not going to get better. They become, some of your issues may have been static, where they know, hey, over time, some of these issues are most likely going to get worse, or they're not going to get better. So them claiming you 100% P&T means, hey, We know that you filed for TDIU, but the issues you have and the claims you have make you 100% permanently and total disabled. It's not because of specific um, claims that you're going to be unemployable. This is basically you are 100% P&T now without having to be unemployable, which means you can earn income at whatever rate you choose to or whatever rate you can. Whereas if you were to get the TDIU, that limits you and you don't get all of the benefits that 100% permanent and total do. That's what a lot of people don't understand. It's just like you have to be 100% P&T to receive some of those benefits, especially in certain states. Also, if you're not 100% P&T, they don't count all the extra benefits that come within that state. If you're TDIU, you don't get Champ VA. If you're TDIU, I don't believe you get the DEA, the Chapter 35. So there's certain aspects of TDIU is for those that they can't make it to 100% P&T, but they have issues that are high enough that they can claim those, basically causing them to be unemployable. So that's the difference there. You want to make sure that you are 100% P&T. But if you're, let's say you have those issues, so we want to make sure that when they say 100% P&T, yes, because if you're 100% P&T, you don't need to, being TDIU is like, it's a lower grade basically. If you're 100% P&T, that's the highest you can get. Unless you have like a SMC, like the special monthly compensation, and that falls into different criteria also. And that's different eligibility for each one of those. If you're 100% P&T, that's where you want to be. If you're 100% TDIU, that means that you're not at 100%. And you are not going to get the DEA benefits. You're not going to get the Champ VA. You can't get the Champ VA and stuff like that. So them saying it's a moot point is basically saying there's no need for you to try to get TDIU when you're 100% P&T. Because basically all the stuff that you get at TDIU, you're getting at 100% P&T, but you're also gaining the no income threshold, so you can make money as much as you want. With the TDIU, you would be limited to making under the poverty line, which is about $15,000. So you would only be able to make that amount. You would not be able to go any higher. With 100% P&T, you're better off because now you can get a job and you can work whatever job you want and earn as much as you can. Does retirement income from a previous job disqualify me from TDI? No, Chris. Those are two different. You got to remember, when you're dealing with TDIU and stuff like that, that is based off of your military time. That is based off your military time. They're not counting if you're collecting money from somewhere else. Well, ooh, hold on. Ooh, that might. It doesn't disqualify you, Chris, but are you making more than 15,000? Now that I'm thinking about it, if you're earning taxable income through retirement, you can only make up to that poverty level. But there's also, damn, where's that video? Let me see. I was watching a video through some VA attorneys. Give me a sec. I'm gonna see if I can find it. That they were talking about the issue where it's just like was it the TDIU claims one? I think it was this one. Oh, is that a fly? I hate flies with a passion. Missed. Oh well. But let me see. I think it's this.
If you're a veteran that's pursuing TDIU based on a protected.
Here we go. I'm gonna put this in the link. I'm gonna put this in the chat. Watch that video. That video is they are VA attorneys. There's another channel that I saw now and I watched and they were there. But they kicked it back even though they said the TDIU is a moot point. Even though they granted. Because there's no need for it, Daniel. That's the whole thing. There's no need for you to be TDIU if you are 100% permanent in total. That's why they kicked it back. There's no need to file for TDIU if you're 100% permanent in total. You're not. If you're TDIU, you're not going to get anything extra. You're not getting anything else with TDIU, even though you're 100%. So that's why I'm trying to figure out, because it's like you're stating that. You're basically stating that, but the thing is you're not going to get any extra benefits because it's TDIU. The TDIU is a moot point because it's like you're not going to get that. Yeah, you're going to have to wait for that because that's going to go. So basically, you went through all that. You're going to wait. Your award letter is going to come through, and then your back pay will come maybe like a month after that, I think, or even less, depending on how quickly they go about it. But basically, you are 100% permanent in total. You don't need to file for. Hold on, give me a sec, y'all. I got to get rid of this thing. Where's it at? I don't know if I got it or not. That thing annoying. Yeah, so you're just waiting. You're waiting on your letter to get that done, and once your letter goes through, you're gonna get your letter. It's gonna tell you what you got, what your ratings are, why it was you got the ratings you did, and then from there, you are going to receive the back pay after that. Because they basically, you're gonna get that letter because it's gonna explain what you got ratings for. If you're 100% PNT, you have that rating, and that's why I say they're not gonna give you TDIU because you already are 100% permanent in total. 100% TDIU is basically you do not have the claims and the percentages to get to 100% permanent in total. It's been 11. You got to remember, if you've been dealing with this, you went through a judge. And if you look at the lettering on there, if you look on the letter where it's, oh, did I bring it downstairs? Hold on. I'll be right back. I couldn't find a paper. But there's basically in the document, when you receive that letter, it'll show you and it'll tell you. Where did I put that paper? It basically tells you the 3 different types of claims, the different types of appeals. There's the supplemental claim, which is you adding the stuff, the higher level review where somebody else is evaluating it, and then the third one, which is basically you talking to a judge or being evaluated. And it tells you a time frame that it's going to take a long time. If you have any questions about it, Daniel, I would suggest calling. If you went through a VSO, have the VSO reach out, or you can reach out to the VA itself and be like, hey, this information has been done. So when did your case actually get done? Because that's the thing. It's been 11 months. 11 months since you got that information, basically saying that, or it's been 11 months since you started the process. Because those are 2 different times tables. Because basically, if you started this process 11 months prior, that means you started the review process 11 months prior, if that's what you're saying. So then whenever you actually filed the claim, we'll probably go even further back than that. So those are 2 different things. Because let's say if you filed 11 months ago for the appeal, that means that you filed the disability claim time before that. You should end up receiving back pay from the first day you claimed everything, because that would be your effective date and your intent to file date was then. But I'm not entirely sure because I don't have the specifics in that manner. But that's how that would show up for you. So that's where it's just like you have to see where that goes, because that can be a major difference in the answer you may receive, because that basically changes it, because basically depending on when you filed for it. September this year was decision, but was kicked back because TDIU was in that claim, even though they granted 100%. So you got the decision done last month. So this past month was when you got it. So basically, it's gonna take maybe another couple of weeks for them to solidify everything, get it. Because that's where I'm confused. Because you're saying that the decision was made, basically granting you 100%, but then it was kicked back. It was kicked back because of TDIU was in that claim. So you're saying, so what did they Because basically, from what I'm gathering from what you're saying is that your stuff was denied. The TDIU claim was denied, but you were granted 100% P&T. So basically, that happened in September. So which was this. It's only 16 days ago. So it's gonna take probably. I would give it. I would say give it till next month, and then next month give a phone call. I would say give it to like the beginning of November. Give it another 2 weeks, Daniel. I would say that. Give it another 2 weeks, because it happened in September. I'm not sure when in September. It could have been the beginning or the end. But give them at least a month to get that stuff, and you should receive a letter within the mail within a year. That's an odd question to ask for a first thing when your name is "You Can't Trust Me." Kind of hard there with your name. But I would suggest Daniel do that first. Wait another 2 weeks to the beginning of the. So September 6th. So it would be a month from now. So I would give it to the end of this month. Beginning of November, make a phone call and call the VA and inquire about it. Because you got to remember, there's a log jam when it comes to a lot of these decisions, and a lot of paperwork and a lot of stuff. So you're not going to receive everything. Like, decision was made, you're not going to receive it right away. That back pay, look, you should know, being a service member. You know, when it comes to them paying us, that shit is going to take some time. But when we owe them money, they want that money fast. You know how that works. So, so in that case, because the thing is look, you saying you're, like I said, you've been dealing with this for 11 months through this decision period, right? That means you filed prior to that. See, you get what I'm saying. You understand what I'm saying when it comes to that. When they want their money, they get it quick. When they owe you the money, that shit takes forever for it to process. But you got to remember, Daniel, if you've been dealing with the situation for 11 months now, that's at least 11 months of back pay. Now, if you are fighting a decision from something previous, so let's say you filed that 11 months ago, and that's when you decided to go to the judge and have it appealed. They're going to go back to when you first filed this. And that's when your back pay would go. So meaning it may be more than 11 months worth of back pay. So they have to figure out what the effective date is of when you would technically became 100% P&T. You see what I'm saying? So whatever your rating is now, they have to calculate, going back to when that decision was made, how much you're supposed to get. So that, because if you were getting 8 in attendance in July of last year, that may be, they're calculating, because now you have 8 in attendance from July 1st, from July going back, and then you have it from July back, going back, and then you have it from the time of this submission for the 100% P&T. So those different submissions there are basically, they have to calculate when it is that you're 100% P&T and what the numbering is. So that's why I say give it at least till the beginning of next month, so that they can figure out how much it is that you are actually owed. Because if you have those different circumstances, the VA is trying to look. The VA is not trying to overpay you. Everybody knows that. But they are trying to make sure that you also ain't going to go into a debt incurred because they overpaid you. Because basically, they can make the error of just like, hey, we overpaid this guy because we thought his effective date and all this was at this point. Then you know they're going to come for that money quickly. Now they're just trying to justify and make sure, hey, you're getting this money at this. And is it up to my PCM on 8? No. 8 in attendance has a certain thing. So 8 in attendance, if you look at it here on the screen, let me make sure you're able to see that. Yeah, so 8 in attendance would fall under these. So since you're at 100%, 8 in attendance for your spouse, if it's your spouse doing it, it's $195.92 that they would receive. Now, if you're doing 8 in attendance, well, 8 in attendance for that, but then that means you should fall under the special monthly compensation pay also, depending if you're housebound though. But that's a whole different criteria there too. Let's see, where is it at? Because then that goes into the PCM doesn't decide on what the 8 in attendance is. That's already in writing, so that's already in place for what it is that you would get. That doesn't change over time. That's something that's set there. Yeah. So if you're not housebound, then no, but that would fall under the special monthly compensation if it's different. But that would mean that you are permanently housebound. But then it's also if the if you require 8 in attendance and you've been given it, that depends because then you may fall under level R of the special monthly compensation. So it depends on if you have 8 in attendance. It depends. You can be special monthly compensation or not, and it differs depending on if you are receiving 8 in attendance from a medical professional or if you're receiving 8 in attendance from somebody you know. And then that splits it into level R1 and level R2. R2 being that you need it from a medical professional, R1 being that you need it from a, like, it may be your spouse conducting it. But if you're doing that, if that's the case that you're getting 8 in attendance, I would suggest talking to like a VSO or someone to see if you fall under the special monthly compensation rates. Because basically, if you're 100% P&T, you're 100% P&T. If you're receiving 8 in attendance, it depends on what you're receiving the 8 in attendance for, and you may fall under the special monthly compensation. Yeah, it takes time because basically you got to remember if you have you're dealing with different stuff because look, you filed in September of you said September of this past year. Oh no, you said your decision was made this September. You got 8 in attendance last year in July. So basically, you should be getting that extra pay for the 8 in attendance from last July. Now, it's looking into, okay, when did you file for everything in the first place? So they have to calculate that from when your effective date would be, and whatever percentage you were at then, they then have to calculate. So let's say you were at 70%. They have to calculate the 30% that's missing worth of compensation for each time period. Let's say if you were at 70% or whatever you were at, they have to calculate that number differential from that time and then add it all together to then give you that amount in back pay and then start paying you effective of what day it is that they finalize everything, start paying you from that day. You filed in July that last year, they granted September this year. So basically you're going to get that difference, which from 90 to 100% is almost like a $1,500 increase. So you would get that extra back pay probably of that $1,500 from basically backdating all the way to July of last year. So let's see, how much would that possibly be? So that would be 1,500 times 12 months, 13, 14, 15, 16 times 16. Possibly could be possibly, don't quote me on this, $24,000 that you may be getting in back pay, plus the 8 in attendance, which I didn't even add. So 165 times 16. So that's 24,000, and then let's say 195.62 times 16. That's another 3,000. So you may be looking at close to $27,000 back in back pay. Something around there. Don't quote me exactly on that. I don't want you to take it as that's what you're gonna get. That's just me looking at the numbers, because you got to remember, the decision is being made. They're calculating it from July of last year, so that's at least 12 months to this July. August 13, September 14. You're not gonna get that pay in October for the 100%. So that's basically 16 months. I would say 14 to 15 months. So give or take, you would get around, it's at least in the 20 something thousand range. And that's what you should receive. Now, what I would do if I were you, Daniel, is since you have to wait on that letter, I would still go in between that time. Oh, yeah. Because the thing is you got to remember, it's a lot of money they're sending to you. This isn't something that they just regularly do. There's something like whenever a person receives back pay, they always try to make sure that they calculate it for when that effective date is. Because the thing is if they put it on the wrong effective date, that affects you as the veteran, because now you will be in debt to the VA because they overpaid you. And most of the time, from what I've seen, a lot of veterans, even though some save it, some put it into savings, some don't, some just go out and spend it on something, go on a nice trip, or buy themselves that brand new car, that brand new truck, or whatever the case may be. And then next thing you know, if the VA is telling you, hey, we overpaid you like $10,000, most don't have that money to pay right back. And then you go into, it becomes a bigger issue. So I think it's best that they take their time to make sure that you get the pay correct, so that way you have it and you don't have any issues going forward. Because if that messes up, that causes a lot of issues. It causes more issues on them because now they have to charge you to get the money back, and then it causes issues on you because it's money that you thought you had. So I would, like I said, the best thing is, so is there anything I can do besides the DAV can help others for their VA claim? You got the DAV, Disabled American Veterans. You got the Veteran of Foreign Wars, the BFW. You got the American Legion. You got the Wounded Warrior Project. There's tons of entities, and most of the time when you go to a VA facility, VA location, if you go to one of the ones that has like the VA hospital, not like one of the smaller clinics and stuff, they usually have a VSO somewhere within the building. And you can just go there, and those are free of charge. They're usually part of the American Legion or the BFW, and you can go and ask questions there. The DAV, I'm not sure. At least for my facility, I know they had the American Legion people working there, and they helped me with that. So, yeah, if the VFW has people there. I got my membership card. Don't want to show my name and stuff, but I got my card. I got mine in Germany. I gotta re-up mine though. I swore I did the lifetime member, but it looks like I have the annual one, so I have to call them and figure that out. But there's no post closer to me. There's an American Legion that's close to me, but whichever one you do, this is something that you can go and ask them, and it's free of charge. And that's what I always suggest going to veterans. And the thing is remember, all these organizations are free of charge. There's nothing that says you can't go and ask different ones. Okay. So, yeah, you should have no problem asking the VFW. It's like, hey, I'm receiving 8 in attendance. I'm 100% P&T now. I was just like, do I qualify for special monthly compensation? Because if you fall under special monthly compensation, if you fall under R1, because you need 8 in attendance, depending on what it is and how. Because the thing is it's easier for you to file for that now because you've already been given 8 in attendance. Sometimes people have the issue where they try to file for 8 in attendance while they're filing for special monthly compensation. You already have that. It's already notated. So I would suggest, because special monthly compensation for a service member that has 8 in attendance and falls under the R1 special monthly compensation level, it is a $9,559.22 per month. But like I said, there's criteria and eligibility for each one of those. But that's something I would just definitely suggest, Daniel. Go to the VFW that you usually speak with. Ask to talk to a VSO, get an appointment with them, or sometimes you can even call them over the phone, and it's not even that big of an issue. And you could just ask them, like, "Hey, I just received my 100% PNT, but I also do have um uh I have 8 in attendance, and I was speaking with somebody, and they had mentioned to me that it may be possible that I have that I can I fall under the criteria for special monthly compensation. Now, all you got to do is once you do that, you can go and ask. You let them know what your information is and stuff like that. And hey, hopefully you all. Well, it's never good to hope. It's like the worst place to do about being a military vet. It's just like you don't hope for anybody to be injured, but you hope that they get the compensation for it. So if you do fall under special monthly compensation, that is a big boost to what you would be receiving over 100% PNT. Since you are 8 in attendance, you are needing assistance. It depends on what the assistance is, but that is almost twice the amount of money you would earn on a monthly basis, tax free. So just a thought. You're gonna get the back pay for this, but I would still inquire about special monthly compensation because you have 8 in attendance. Because 8 in attendance is added also for the 100% just because of the regular disability ratings. But if you are under 8 in attendance and you fall into special monthly compensation, you get compensated more because you are requiring assistance to do daily activities. So that's why you have to look at it and just ask the VFW, give them a call. Just, hey, I got a couple of questions. I was speaking with somebody, and they told me this just to inquire about it. Because I'm not, the special monthly compensation falls under different criteria, and I have a video on it that it shows like the eligibility, but a lot of it is like redundant, where it's just like if you lost limb or you lost this, if you can't use your arm or you lost sight and stuff like that. But then there's aid and assistance. Yeah, sorry, when I first started, I did a complete head to toe on myself, both the sporting documents. That's Daniel. That's what most people fail to do. It's like you have to pull your information, and you have to go through it line by line. Every single instance that you have of any injury, anything that you can claim, you have to go line by line and get that done. You're not gonna get anywhere if you are just picking the stuff that hurts you right now. And that's what I think a lot of veterans do when they file for disability. It's just like, you know what, my shoulder hurts right now, and they file for that. But a couple of years back, they injured their other shoulder or their other elbow, and that was in service, and people do that. Yes, you have to go through. So if you have a copy of your medical records through the military, you have to go through those line by line, page by page. Notate everything you have on there. Then from there, depending on how long you've been out, if you've been out for quite some time, you need to have documentation showing that you have a diagnosis that you're still dealing with this issue or this issue got worse. Then from there, it's getting a nexus letter. The nexus letter from the medical provider, the provider basically stating that, hey, I've been seeing this person for whatever amount of years. This person is now worse from before because he injured himself while in service, which your medical records will show that you have that injury there. And then that nexus letter and that doctor is basically saying, look, over all this amount of years, his issue has gotten worse, and I've been treating him for this long. This is, it looks like, and you have to make sure that the nexus letter and those providers are providing that information to highlight the time period. That's what a lot of people need to realize. You need to highlight with that nexus letter the time period that you are specifying about. Because if your nexus letter says, hey, you've had this injury for 20 years, but your doctor's only been seeing you for one, what happened to the other 19 years? And that's where a lot of people miss that misstep right there. It's just like, what happened to those other 19 years that you hadn't gotten seen or anything like that? Why is it that your injury started hurting just 1 year ago? And that's a question that people need to ask, because they'll look at that and like that. But like I said, sometimes the VA is not perfect. The VA makes mistakes. Humans make mistakes. It's people going through your file and stuff like that. But if you're not doing the proper steps to ensuring that, hey, this is what needs to be seen, you run into issues. Yeah, and that's what it is. The thing, Daniel, what sucks about it is that us as veterans, the problem is with a lot of veterans, they give up. You've been fighting this fight for 10 years now. The thing is just like you have to show that documentation. The thing is a lot of service members do not have any documentation while they're in service. It's hard to contribute to something if you don't have you don't have a paper trail. Without a paper trail, it's hard. So if it takes you those 5 years to get a paper trail showing that you've gone to an outside doctor, they seen you, or you're going through the VA and they see you and stuff like that, that's what you need to do. It's just like a lot of veterans tend to complain that it's just like, oh, the VA is taking too long to approve this, but it's just like you have to look at it through their lens also. You were a service member, cool. Every service member does not go through the same process. You go through the same process in MEPS, but then once you're in the military, everybody has different experiences, they're different units, different MOSs, different exposures, and all that is different. When you have nothing showcasing or highlighting what happened to you while in service, yeah, that goes a long way. But that's the thing, Daniel. You were one of the good ones that was able to save it. A lot of service members don't. Like I was, like I always tell, I was just like, look, I'm getting out. I don't care what I do. I don't want nothing to do with this. I'm out. And some people just do it like that, and they just leave. They had a bad time, or it was a bad taste in their mouth, and they're just like, look, I ain't keeping none of this paperwork and stuff like that. And then down the road, they was like, you know what? I should file for disability. And then it's like, damn, I had all these documents and I got rid of them at that point. And now you're starting from, it's like ground zero now, building up. You just building the building up to get to 100%. But you need to have your documentation and all the stuff that's required to get there. If you don't do that, you're not going to make it to 100% off of just like claims. If you have the documentation and the information, you get there. But if you don't, you run into that problem where people just think it's just like, oh, this is something that I'm going to just get. The VA ain't going to just give you the info. The VA will never just give you the info. I can assure you that. They are not just going to be like, you know what? We're going to give this guy 100%. No, that's never going to happen. You're never going to deal with that. That will never be a situation that you will run into. And that's something that people need to realize. You need to understand that it's just like you have to see the what you have and what you need to deal with. Hey, no problem, Daniel. It's just that's what we got to do, man. We just got to help each other out, help vets out, and just give them information and just assist them. Because, like I said, it's just like it sucks that we have to go through this as veterans. It's just that's why it's just like I try to work on just assisting veterans, just because it's just like it's information that's there, but the thing is it's hard to find sometimes if you don't know the direction you're going to. And it's hard to inquire about stuff because the thing is not everybody is a good resource. And I'll say that I won't say that everything I say is correct. And I always want to highlight that. I'm not saying everything is correct, but I'm going to try to show you where I found this information so that you can see where this information is at. In the case of yours, it's just basically, hey, you filed for one thing, but you are above what you need to be at. You are at P&T now. So TDIU is not what you want. You want 100% P&T. But like I said, since you're receiving aid and attendance, you need to reach out to a VSO to get and see like, hey, do I fall under special monthly compensation? Because if you fall under special monthly compensation, you may end up doubling what you're getting monthly if you fall under that criteria. I don't want it to be that you think, oh, I'm going to just make it there. No. If you fall under special monthly compensation, it's basically almost double, or it's even more than double. Because at 100%, let's see, at 100% P&T coming starting in December 1st, well, January 1st when you get your first pay, that's almost $4,000. Special monthly compensation for aid and attendance, if you fall under it, is $9,500. So basically, you're doubling, more than doubling what you would receive if you fall under aid and attendance and that special monthly compensation. So that's why I say it's just like, look, you're already gonna get, because you said you were at 90. You're already gonna get like a $1,500 pay bump regardless per month. Now, if you fall in the SMC, you would get another five. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't hurt to try to find information on it, and that's what I think a lot of veterans fail to do, is that they fail to actually inquire about those issues and look deeper into the issues. Like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. This is the actual number I need to look at, or the information I need to look at. Yeah, because if you fall under aid and attendance, that's part of the criteria needed to fall under special monthly compensation. Having aid and attendance, because that means that you require extra assistance to do normal activities. Because basically, if you're 100%, it's just like, yeah, you can do the stuff, but you don't need somebody to help you. With aid and attendance, like, you need somebody to help you put clothes on, or maybe even bathe you at times, or help you move around, stuff like that. That's a big thing, and that's a big burden on you that requires more assistance. So R1 is basically $9,559.22 if you fall under that criteria. Then there's the homebound one, which is almost 11,000. But those are two different ones. If you're homebound, that's one thing, because that means you can't leave your home. Aid and attendance is that you need and require assistance to do most of the stuff you do. So that's why the criteria is different for it. Um, and that's what people, that's why it's just like, it's good to teach people this, because the thing is, a lot of people don't know. We have so many, like I keep telling people, the VA can be seen as terrible, but the VA has so many resources that we just don't know. Like, the VA is in a hole right now. I think it was like $13 million. The VA would be in a bigger hole if veterans actually took advantage of all the programs we actually had available to us. And then that's the thing also, Daniel, when you look at it, go to your look at your tax assessor. If you're in your own home, you own a home, ask the tax assessor. Yeah. See? So stuff like that, that's that's there. But you have to look at now, since you're 100% P and T, and you may be under special monthly compensation, it still falls under the same thing, but it's there. Um Ask your tax assessor, whoever does your taxes, or your accountant or CPA, see what your state has for exemptions. So you might get more taken off now because you're 100% P and T, depending on your state. So each state has it different. Some states have it. I have a list of those things, but some states have it that is just like, you gain a certain amount from it. If you're 100% PNT, it's the most you can get removed off your property taxes. And then some have it that is just depending on how disabled you are. And then some have it that you only have it at 100% PNT. So definitely, I would suggest looking into that, because it comes with different benefits. So depending, if you got school kids and your kids are in school, you get Chapter 35 benefits. Oh, see, that's that's why I say it was just in Georgia. It's like certain ones have certain things. I could actually tell you what else, Joe. Let me see. Give me a sec. Let's go to Georgia real quick. Why is my thing not loading? What the hell? Because I have a spreadsheet that I was doing, because that's what one of the first things I was doing was like property tax exemptions for states and stuff like that. Let's see. Do I have Georgia done? Did Georgia get? I think Georgia was done. Georgia PNT. Hold on. Let's read this. So, license plates, tags, ID cards, license all free. Yep. Remember, veteran of anyone. Which bunch? Because I have the law that has it. Because they have the homestead exemption. You say any veteran who is a citizen. as being 100% return or as being less than 100% is compensated at the 100% levels. Where does it say what the actual thing? So any disabled person as defined in paragraphs of this code section who is a citizen and resident of Georgia is granted an exemption of the greater of $32,500 or the maximum amount which may be granted to a disabled veteran. There, as of January 1, 2004, the maximum amount which can be granted to a disabled veteran under the above stated federal law is $50,000 in exemptions. So the most you would be able to get exempt is $50,000. And then it says the value of all property in excess of such exemption granted to such unremarried surviving spouse or minor children shall remain subject to taxation. And that's another thing. It's just like with some, it's just like if you're a surviving spouse, they actually give you they let the child and wife and the spouse continue to receive those same benefits. But certain states have that as part of it, and most don't though. So um, those are things that is just like I like to notice because that's something I think that we should start trying to push. Like it should be like a federal clause kind of thing, and that's something I would like to actually work on and write a policy for, making it like certain benefits that us as veterans receive should be completely federal. It shouldn't be just left up to the state. Like in the case of being a surviving spouse, you should be able to receive the same tax exemption that the veteran, if the veteran passed away because of a service related issue, the family and the kids should have property tax exemption across the states. Not every state has it that way. Some have it, some don't. Some have it that the kids can actually continue that, and then some just have it that it's just the spouse that continues it. Um, but those are like different things that is just like should be across the board. Like, hey, everybody deserves this. Everybody should be able to have this without any questions. Certain benefits I know state bound, but like license plates, if you want to put veteran on your license plate, that should be free across the whole nation. Shouldn't have to charge a person more if you're a veteran. That's representation that should be across the board. The nonprofit I work for, we help get homeless veterans off the streets and help them get their VA disability claims. That's great, Daniel. Can you tell me what your nonprofit is? Because I like making a list of those, and I like making it so that I can actually publicize what those are. Because I have that as part of my workshop. Because I have a list of basically like veteran organizations, and I have American Legion, the BFW, DAV, Wounded Warrior Project, Gold Star Wives of America, Hope for Warriors, American Veterans, Operation Homefront, Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, the Gary Sinise Foundation, Homes for Our Troops, Operation Gratitude, Children of Fallen Patriots Foundation, the Bob Woodruff Foundation, Everyone for Veterans Foundation, Operation Second Chance, Puppies Behind Bars, which is one of the ones I've been donating for a while to, which basically provides service dogs to veterans, but they train them in it's like a prison, I believe. But the prison inmates, that's what their job is basically. They get donations and they make sure that the dogs are taken care of and stuff like that, and those dogs are then provided to service members or veterans that are in need of a service dog. Then you got the Fisher House Foundation, Yellow Ribbon Fund, Navy Mutual, not the bank. There's a different organization. Um, the American Red Cross, the Marine Corps League, the Navy Club of the United States of America, the American GI Forum, Military Chaplains Association of the USA. There's a ton more, but I want to add those because I want to be able to give veterans the opportunity to search for different ones. Because the thing is some of these, like the American Legion, DAV, and VFW, these are like nationally recognized ones. But there's other organizations that are also trying to find ways to be donated to and trying to grow to assist veterans. So I think, yeah, we all know those big name ones, but there's so many small ones that are trying to do the same thing that they just don't get the same exposure. So it's something that Yeah, see, and that's the stuff. Those organizations, there's many organizations that do that. The thing is that they don't get nationwide publicity, and some of them are in your backyard. You don't even know they're in your backyard. So it's always good. That's one thing I like to do is just like emphasize on veteran organizations within a state because most of the time the BFW and the American Legion are the one that rule that area basically. But you have other entities within there that's like that, which is something that I think should also be done is creating like a database of just like, hey, these are all veteran nonprofit organizations. They don't all work together, even though they should, but this is all the veteran nonprofit organizations. This is a listing of them. This is where they're located at, so that way people can reach out to whatever's closest to them. Because the thing is not everybody has an American Legion close to them. Not everybody has a BFW close to them or DAV. I was just like, yeah, I can make a phone call, but I would rather talk in person than be 600 miles away from where I can actually talk to somebody. So things like that I think are essential and would be beneficial for veterans to have that info, just to be able to say, hey, I was able to come here. This is the information I got. I spoke to this person, and this is what they told me. That goes a long way for me. At least for me, at least that's how I feel. So I'll make this a bit smaller. Let's make it, oh, still too large. I don't think I changed that. But yeah, we will be talking to Governor Kemp on the 24th. I already spoke at the Black Caucus last year about the homeless veteran. See, and that's what we need to do. That's what needs to happen more. We need to make sure we're talking to these people. We need to make sure that we are getting the information out there so that people are seeing us and gaining visibility on what's going on. Because that's the main thing. Most people don't know what's going on. They don't see it, and it's beneficial for stuff like that to get out to the world where it's just like, yeah, we are assisting in this manner, we are assisting with this, we are providing this, so that people know that it's there. And that way, because the thing is you got to remember a lot of these organizations would get so many more volunteers if they knew they were around. A lot of these places don't have the big name. They don't people don't publicize it. They don't get that volunteer work. There's tons of people that want to assist veterans. That never changes. So it's just like stuff like that. You would get so many volunteers that wouldn't, and it would help enhance that community organization. It's just like I said, it's hard. It's hard when you got the big name ones getting all the publicity, and then those small ones, yeah, they're doing just as good work, but they don't get that same recognition. So it's just like I can't go volunteer to for somewhere I'd never heard of. So that's something they're trying to publicize, but that's awesome what you do, and I wish the best to that organization, and just keep on doing what y'all doing. Keep assisting veterans at the best ability as y'all can. Because that's the thing. It's just like that's what we need to be doing to make sure veterans know what's going on. Hold on, what did I put this as? This is 56. Can I make it 58? 60 fits. Okay, so 60 fits. I can put 60 here. We're not big, but we got noticed in Southeast region because we talked to Congressman, and that's what you have to do. That's what I think a lot of people don't realize is just that you have to start reaching out to those higher levels. Because once you start reaching out, look, it sucks that politicians and stuff try to use that as a like talking point, like, oh, we use veterans and stuff like that. But at the same time, that still is a good way to get recognition, because then now politicians are easier way to get funding to your organization, because then you know of just like, hey, if they have grants that are coming in like federal aid or something like that, that's something that as a mayor reaches out to your organization like, hey, we just got this grant for whatever it may be, and we were trying to see if you were interested in possibly gaining some of it to use for one of your projects or something like that. And that goes such a long way, because that's extra money that you can receive that helps benefit you and the organization. And at the end of the day, it's veterans that end up winning. So that's the great part about it. So I put that did I put that right? 1395.93. This is 70%. We also own a mountain top in Columbus, so we sell coffee, t-shirts, all posters go towards here, homeless for us off the street. Nice. Yeah, you have to like Daniel. If I would say try to make a YouTube channel for it. Do what I do. I don't have. It's just me running this show though. That's the thing. But it's just like, if you can make a YouTube channel and start doing that. When y'all do those your annual crawfish boils, go live. You have to get a online team or something like that, and make it publicize it. Which is like Veterans Annual Crawfish Boil, Columbia, Georgia, or wherever in Georgia, every year assisting veterans. And you have somebody just like talk the intro part, and then you can just go live and just like, hey, this is what y'all doing, and something like that. Because that old grown thing, everything on YouTube stays on YouTube, and that's, I think, the best part about this is just like anybody can go back and watch any of my videos. Some of them I switched over to member, but to be a member of the channel is like $1 a month. Um, but it's just every tutorial and every time I do these lives and stuff like that, and I'm answering questions, is just there for veterans to be able to get that information, get the knowledge they need, learn what they need to from it, and then go from there. Because it's free information. The thing is not all veterans are aware that it's free information. Not all veterans know it's available. So it's just like, it's on you to be able to teach people that and be able to show them like, hey, this is available to you. This is the information you can use to better your life and better the life of your dependents, just by tuning in. That's it. Nothing special. I don't contribute nothing special. It's just I have a membership of a dollar. I have another one that's, I think, like $4. Then I have like a $9 one, and then I have like a $25 one. I don't expect people to do it. I'm gonna still do these every Sunday. It's just that I don't make any money off of it. So it's just like, if people want to donate or they want to support the channel so that I can keep on doing this, I was just like, that's one way of doing it. But it's never required when I do these. This is just a thing that I felt that while I was a veteran, I needed this assistance when I was transitioning out and trying to become 100% PNT. I was able to do it within my first year of getting out, because I was at 90% when I did the benefits of delivery by discharge program. I got to 90% off of that. Then from there, it was just basically like a appeal and stuff like that. Yeah, and that's here. If I get a couple of views and stuff like that, I might make like 2 cents or something. It's like, so it's just like I don't make anything out of it. So, but I know I've assisted plenty of people already within this channel alone to get to 100% PNT. I know there was a soldier that he just retired this past June, and I basically coached him through just off of these lives, and he ended up retired with 100% PNT. And then there's a bunch of soldiers that I actually served with that I've helped them through that. And people come in and ask these. It's just like, I do these every Sunday, 12 noon Central Time. I always do it every Sunday. But then when I have the extra time, now I'm going to be doing these little pop up streams here and there I'm gonna try to see if I can make it like a specific time period, so it's just like, hey, every Wednesday at this time I'll be doing this and stuff like that. Just to make it more feasible and easier to get answers to people and interact with people. But I think this is a large benefit for veterans just to be able to learn all this stuff and gain information for it. Um, and that's it. Because right now, like I said, right now I'm just working on the disability rates number, and then from there, this video will be published. See if I can publish it. What's today? Today's Wednesday. See if I get it out by like Friday, and then have that information out. Might have it sooner, but get that information out by Friday. Push it out by Friday, so that way everybody has an awareness as to, hey, this is what the 2025 disability rates will be for veterans for this next upcoming year till everything changes again, I guess. Still think we should get like a minimum of 4% each year without any problems, but that's just me. Think there needs to be certain changes with that. I don't think we should be I don't think as veterans we should be going with the COLA rate. I think what we should be getting is at least a minimum 4% each year to keep up with wages. That's it. 4% each year. If it goes higher, we make the higher. If it goes lower, we still only make 4%, no matter what. Or even make it 3.5 or something. Make it so that it's just like, I think 4% is a good percentage right there because it's not too high, not too low. The average has been over the past 10 years, I think it was like 2.5, except for like 2 years ago when we got that 8.7 raise. But I think it should just be like 4% across the board. No matter what the CPI, Consumer Price Index, shows, we as veterans get a 4% raise every year without fail. If it goes higher, we get the higher amount. But if it's supposed to be lower, we still get the 4%. It would probably benefit Congress to do something like that because you would probably get more people to join the military too, because hurting for that too. But that's neither here nor there. All right, probably less than a year ago, I should have said. Mel, so my question to you is like, so you were denied a primary this less than a year ago. I believe it should be a flat rate of 3.5. Yeah, that's how I feel, Daniel. Every year, that I think that should be the minimum. That should be the minimum, no matter what. Should be the minimum. 3.5 to 4 a year minimum. If it's higher, we get the higher rate. If it's lower, we get the 3.5 or the 4 every year without fail. It's like, so it's like it cannot go any lower than this type thing. So Mel, you basically you filed the primary claim less than a year ago, and it got denied. So now you are submitting it. You want to submit it as a secondary supplemental. So the thing is it a secondary or is it a primary? That's where the big thing is because if you already had this and you know it's a primary issue, you can file it as a primary. If you're filing it as a secondary, that means that this was caused because of whatever else you're tying it to. Yo, Dash, what up, my man? And that's two different things. So if you filed and it got denied and you know you should have had it, you should have probably appealed it. So you filed it as a secondary less than a year ago and it got denied, but now you got thing. If you are filing for it and you have more thing, if you're still able to, you should appeal that first decision, even though it may be too long of a time period now. Since it might have gone out the appeal window where you would have been able to submit that evidence as evidence to show, or basically a supplemental from the appeal, that you would probably been better off doing it that way. But if you're out of that time period, then you would have to file a secondary thing again, but with the evidence. Because your best bet on that point would have been to just basically say, hey, I am appealing this, but you're doing it as a supplemental to add the new evidence on top of it. Otherwise, if you're out of that time period, you would just have to file it again. And that's the worst part about it. But that's how you would have to go about it, or at least that's what I would say to do. I say I'm not no specific expert, but I know what I do know. But if you fall into that criteria, it's just like if it got denied, if you can still appeal, I would say appeal. If you can appeal that decision, appeal it and submit the supplemental claim like that to basically support, like, hey, I submitted this, it was denied, but I'm appealing it because there's new evidence that I am now providing to show that what was already there with this new evidence contributes to that. So it is a secondary condition that should have. Yeah, if it's a secondary and if you're not able to do it, then submit it as a secondary again. But this time now you have the documentation to prove that it is a secondary condition. Because if it got stopped the last time, it was like maybe you didn't have the evidence and stuff like that. But now that you're saying that you do, you could do that and just file it again, and that way you go through it in that manner. Because then that would be the easier way of doing it, or basically the better way of doing it, I would say. Because if you can't appeal it and submit it as a supplemental, then your best bet is to just refile it again. So Dash, this is one thing. As long as you have a service connection for it, you can get assistance for it. The thing is you have to wait, man. You have to wait till you get your numbers. You can't ask or appeal for anything till you get your numbers. Hey, no problem, Mel. You have to wait till you get your numbers. You have to wait till you get that letter, and that letter tells you what percentage you get for everything. Because you feel you might get 10% and you might end up with 30. Like, you can't don't go off of how you feel. That's one thing, another thing veterans should not do. Don't go off of what you feel you should get, or this is the rating I know I deserve. You got to remember, it has to be proven, it has to be evidence, and it has to go off of the Code of Federal Regulations. If it shows that your conditions are worsening and stuff like that, you can go and get seen for that, Dash. So basically, as long as GERD is there and it's service connected, you can go to the VA and be like, hey, I'm dealing with this and this issue seems to be getting worse. I'm vomiting all the time and stuff like that. What's the medication or what's the outlook? And they will take care of you that way. That's what a lot of veterans don't not that they don't understand, but it's just that you have to realize, as long as any issue is service connected, you can get seen for it. You can get medication for it. You can get treatment for it, as long as it's service connected. No matter what percentage you get. Because it may be getting worse, but the only thing is if you got GERD at 10% and you already at 100%, filing for an increase is not going to get you anything different. That 30% instead of that 10% is not going to get you a higher increase in disability pay. You're still going to receive the same disability pay. The treatment, you're still going to get the same treatment whether it's 30% or 10%. Now, if it falls under something that's like special monthly compensation, then that's different. But I don't think GERD falls under that situation. Yes. Everything. Lay statements, buddy statements, any statements you can get that you can write, have somebody sign, and it contributes and shows the issues that you're trying to claim. That's what you need. You need all that documentation, because all that documentation goes very far. All that documentation goes and it highlights what you have, what you're dealing with, and it shows all of that. And that's what you need to make sure you're doing. Everything that's on there. Dash, this is one thing I'll tell you. You're talking with legal in the military. Your Pueblo say that they're usually correct, but you got to remember this is the VA. The VA and the DOD do not talk to each other. They may be talking about it, but the thing is you still have to go through the VA rater. You went through your CNP exams, which put those diagnoses and stuff like that, but a VA rater has to view your stuff. The VA rater is the one that's going to decide on the percentages, not legal. Because the thing is like, yeah, they might say it's 10%, but then the VA rater sees the information and it's just like, you know what, this guy falls under this, and he might bump it up. So that's why it's just like, you have to wait when it comes to this. Wait for that paperwork. It don't matter what the VA tell you, what the legal tells you, what your Pueblo says. I was just like, wait till you get that document, because that document will tell you everything you need. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like you have to wait, because legal will say that and paper will say, yeah, they're usually correct and stuff like that. But the thing is they don't take into account everything. Legal is just going off of that. Is legal aware that the GERD criteria changed in May of 19th of this year? Because that's one thing I don't know that I don't think they make sure to pay attention to that dash. Because May 19th of 2024, the digestive system stuff changed. So the ratings for GERD, IBS, and a whole bunch of other ones changed in May. So your criteria that might have fallen under 10% for GERD, shit, let's look up GERD real quick. Yeah, I know. Trust me. That's the man. Gastrointestinal. Hmm. Yeah, that's why I say it was like you can't go off of that, because I know legal and Pueblo are not paying attention to any of the occurrences and any of the changes that are going right now with um the VA. So any changes that happen like this, they're not gonna be knowing or up to date, because the ratings have changed for the digestive system. Scheduler ratings digestive system. Here we go. Let me see. Make sure y'all see this. Yes, y'all can. Let me slide this over here. Y'all can see the whole thing. Gastrointestinal reflux disease. So look, what you're basically saying, Dash, is documented history of esophageal structure that requires daily medication to control the other. So that's 10%. Documented history of recurrence of causing dysphia, which requires dilation of no more than 2 times. Documented history of recurrent or refractory dilation using steroids at least one time. Like, that can change depending on what you're doing. As I say, hit the right hand, don't know what the left hand. Yeah, yeah. So this is what it says. It says findings must be documented by brain swallow, computerized tomography. Non-gastric complications of procedures should be rated under the appropriate system. This diagnostic code applies, but is not limited to esophagitis, mechanical, chemical, malaria well syndrome, all that stuff. Recurrent esophageal stricture is defined as the inability to maintain target stuff. Refractory esophageal stricture is defined as inability to achieve that. So that's there. So, and treatment with either surgical correction or esophageal stricture. Because you just basically said, what'd you say? You are literally doing surgery for GERD. And what does this say? 80% gives you substantial weight loss as defined and treatment with either surgical correction of stricture or or I don't know what the hell that is. That's basically, I think, inserting a tube. But you are getting surgery. So you would technically qualify for 80% just off of that. if you have GERD and they're doing surgery for it, you technically fall under the 80% mark just on GERD alone. So you definitely won't be 100%. So no, so Daniel, what happens with any mental health disorders, they all fall together. So they all get put together. So if you have anxiety, depression, any of the mental health disorders, so we can go to the mental health disorders here, mental disorders. If you fall under any of these here, anything that falls into the mental health gets combined into one rating of mental health. It doesn't matter if you have a different percentage or not. Basically, they're gonna say that you have PTSD, but you have these other issues there, but it contributes to how does this affect you on this rating scale. So how does it affect you from 0% to 100%? And that's how they combine everything. Because the thing is they don't separate, because it's just like with depression. Depression is going to cause one thing, but it's not going to separate it into something. That one they might change it. They might change that, Daniel, at the end of April this coming year. So April 2025 is when they have the date set that there's going to be possible changes to the mental health evaluation, sleep apnea, and tinnitus. That's the date they have set is April of 2025. Now that doesn't mean that something's going to happen specifically on that date, but that is the timetable that the VA has given itself to implement the changes for, or at least finalize what may be the changes for um, sleep apnea, the mental health, and tinnitus. No, sleep apnea, tinnitus, and mental health. So they've been talking about this for 2+ years. So it may be that they set that date and they may not come up with anything that actually contributes to the change. So discerning, as long as you have all of that in there, you're going to have all that documentation in there. It was just depression or anxiety. Now this year falls under, because the thing is for me, I had depression and anxiety, but they just gave it to me as one rating. Then I filed for PTSD, and what happened was they just incorporate all mental health disorders. They don't separate the mental health disorders. It all falls under the high, whatever is the high. So basically, they're gonna put it as PTSD if PTSD is the one that the rating is the highest because of it. So basically, all the mental health things, you're gonna get your rating off of what causes you the worst symptoms or the worst whatever falls under. So if your PTSD was what caused the occupational and social impairment with deficiencies and most, they're gonna give you that 70%, but they're gonna say it's PTSD at 70% because the PTSD was what got you to 70%. If it was your depression that got you to 7%, 70, they'll put the depression as 70%. So depending on, yeah, so you are correct. We just, I guess, read each other wrong. But basically, whichever one is the highest, that's what they classify under it. But it still accommodates and sees all the other mental health disorders as one, which I understand and don't understand at the same time. But I was just like, it just goes off of this rating. And that's why I think they're talking about making this a bit more specific or changing it because of the fact that it's just like it encompasses everything. Yeah. And that's the thing. But yeah, like I was telling Dash, in Dash's case, you have all that stuff notated and stuff like that. I was just like, look, and let's say you don't get the 100% when you're there. That's when you go through your documentation, you go through everything that was filed, and you make sure to see what they stated. Because if you don't get that higher level for GERD when it shows that you had surgery done for it, that means that you had to had surgery conducted to fix the situation, which should put your rating up higher for GERD. So that can be an appeal. You wouldn't have to resubmit. You would appeal. So let's say they just give you 10% for GERD. I would just double check, talk to a VSO real quick. Just ask them, was like, look, man, I went through this, and that. Should not fall on the 80? And then from there, they're probably going to tell you, it's like, yeah, you appeal, and you don't refile, so that basically it stays with your damn effective date of when you got out the military. Appeal that, and then back pay comes to that date, and you do it that way. But that's what I say. Like those little instances and those little changes go a long way. All right, let me just double check. I have. Whoa, where's the money on this? Oh, wrong one. Never mind. Did I not have this? Okay, that's that. Okay. I'm updating. I'm updating the video for the disability rates as we go. I gotta make sure they're all correct. But it was crazy because I was looking at two different sites that said, "Oh, 2025 disability rates," and they both had different numbers, and I was just like, "Why?" It was 2.5. It's 2.5. It was like, why is this different? See, so that's the thing. So if you're scheduled for the surgery, that's something that you should probably. I don't know how to go about putting that into a claim. That's a good question to ask, Dash. If you can get in contact with a VSO, ask them like, hey, let's say I'm filing a claim for an issue, but I have surgery scheduled. Shit, if you have the information for the surgery scheduled, I would upload that into your claim. I would add that on there as like a surgery date for this, because then it's just like you're gonna get corrective surgery for this, so that way they see that you're gonna have it. The thing is they're gonna probably want to see the end factor, basically saying that you got the surgery done and not that you're going to get it. Because if you cancel and it doesn't happen, big difference compared to yes, you went and got surgery done. 346, 537, 42, 774.16, 1102. Wow, I messed that one up. 1102. Good thing I'm double checking these numbers. 1395.93 at 70% is at 1759.19. 80% is 2044.89. 90% is at 2297.96. And 100% is at, oh, got that one wrong. Where'd I get that number from? 3030. I'll have the surgery soon before my ratings come back. I don't know if they can add it, but if they did, it would make things higher. That's why I would. That's the thing, because the thing is you might have to wait for after the fact. But that's why I suggest talking to a VSO. Just reach out to any VSO around you and ask them like, hey, I'm about to get out, and I have my claims already in with the medboard process. They're probably gonna tell you to wait through the medboard and then file for it there. Um, but like I said, instead of you filing, if that's the case and they tell you to wait, if you get that, um I would not refile, appeal, and make it a supplemental claim and basically show like, hey, this is my surgery that I had for it. So that's basically you're adding that new evidence that shows that you went through the surgery. You just didn't do it there. So they appealed it and denied it, or they only gave you this, but you're appealing for a higher rating because it's like, hey, here's the evidence. I had surgery. So that way it's just like they'll up it without you having to do a refile. It may take longer because you're appealing the situation, but if you do it that way, then it's easier to just show like, boom, you got it done. No problem, Dash. You know I'm here. You know I'm here to help. And then that way it makes it, because the thing is I don't know of a way. I haven't heard of a situation like that is just like a person is getting out and they have like a surgery scheduled, because in your case you're getting out of the military. For most people it's just like they're already out and then they're getting the surgery or something like that. So for them it's different, because then you're filing for the surgery basically, but you most likely would be able to wait before you file, or you file that intent to file date and have the file date, and then the surgery is somewhere in between that year. You get the surgery, you get the paper, and then you put it into the file and then file it. In your case, you're still in the transition of getting out of the military. So there, I'm not sure how that works. That's a good question and a tricky question because it's just like you're getting med boarded, so you're going through the process, but you're gonna get surgery after the fact. So that's something that you have to look into to see is like, okay, I'm getting the surgery after the fact. How can I get this info into my claim? If you can't get it in while the claim and the med board is going, you go through it afterwards because you're gonna get that paperwork saying, hey, you received this percent, you received this, this is what you got. Oh, GERD, I only got 10%. File an appeal. You got your supplemental evidence. Here's surgery showing that I had surgery in this time period. Here for this for GERD, and it was to thing. And if you can get a nexus letter asking and I would suggest also getting a nexus letter from whoever did the surgery, just basically saying like, hey, this is something that he was dealing with while in service, and he had to get it corrected, but he did not have time while he was in service, so he got it corrected once he was out of military service. That way, it shows like you just didn't have GERD, like you just needed surgery after the fact. It was just like you got it because you were getting out, but didn't have time to conduct that surgery while in. Or is it the military? Is it you actively doing it on active duty that you're getting the surgery, or is it like after you get out you're getting the surgery? Okay, so I have that. Now I can go to with no children. They don't get anything. They don't get anything. Starts at 30%. Veteran with spouse. 697. Veteran with spouse and one parent is 652.22. Veteran with spouse and two parents is 703.47. Veteran with one parent is 588.57. Veteran with two parents is, see, that's the thing here. It shows that, but then there's ones. This one has it, and then there's others that don't. There's like some links and sites are like pushing out the 2025 numbers, but they don't have them concrete. Ah, okay. The thing is I still think while your VA claims are in there, you can still submit evidence once the claim is already there. So basically, if the surgery happens before it goes into like I guess like the review time period, you can still submit that documentation. So it's like, hey, I need a copy of this surgery. I need the documentation showing what was happening and all that stuff, so I can file it with the VA. So basically, if you're still going to be on active duty and your claim is still open and it hasn't been like finalized or it hasn't gone through the review period, I would still just upload that information there and just put like a GERD surgery on there as like the label for it, and then submit it that way so that then it's still there. But like I said, either way, it's whichever way you can get the documentation in there quicker. If it's while you're still on active duty, while the process is still happening, that'll help. It may delay you receiving your stuff a bit longer because now it's like new evidence they have to look at. But it's better because then you might start off the bat with that 100% instead of like starting off at like 90 and then get that appeal done to get to 100. Even though you get that back pay, but I know most people would rather just get the pay up front than have to deal with back pay on the back end. At least that's how I feel. I'd rather do it that way. I'm not trying to do all that extra shit. Veteran, one parent. Veteran with two. No. Veteran with two parents. Okay, so that one is good. So with one child. No problem, man. Yeah, just that's all it is, man. Just try to prepare yourself for that and just try to get your information in there as quickly as possible. Whether it's information that you get before the fact or information you get after the fact, you're still going to be able to submit that and show it. So even if your rating isn't as high as you think it should be, you're still going to be able to process it and submit that. And that's why I say don't file it as a new claim, just file it as an appeal when you receive your stuff, and then submit that evidence of the surgery showing that. Because then it's just like, it's plain as day. It was just like, look, the reason this is wrong is because, look, I got surgery. It's like kind of hard to deny surgery. And then if it was done while on active duty, they'd be like, oh, well, it happened in service. Like, there's no way you're getting that denied. Plain and simple. It's like the military doctor in service conducted this surgery. Yeah, while he was in service, yeah, we're putting that in there. But it's just depending on, do you get to put that in before the claim is done, or do you get to put it as an appeal after the claim is done? That's the only thing. That's the only criteria you fall under. But if you get that surgery, get that documentation, and upload it to your VA claim as soon as possible. That way, you have that in there. Well, okay. Let's see. Where am I? It's 3:11. All right, y'all. So I am going to call it right about now. I gotta go pick up the kid from school. So as always, I appreciate everybody that tunes in. I appreciate all the questions. I appreciate everybody that has anything. Not sure which way I should go with this claim of 70% PTSD, but I want to file for somatic symptom disorder or chronic pain from my knees that are rated already. Well, what do you mean you're not sure which way to go? Somatic symptom? Do this, bro. You got to remember, Mel, when it comes to anything that has to do with mental health disorders, they all fall under this criteria. Let me see if this works. Private cruise. Private cruise. Provide chat code of regulations. No, it didn't work. Oh, maybe it did. Oh, it's working. Yes. My assistant is working, y'all. I got my assistant working. Private Cruise is going to earn his pay. It actually worked. I like it. So here, go there. Go to the CFR. Or I'll copy this one. This is the mental health disorders one also, and you can use that one. That'll take you directly to what I'm showing. This is basically all the different ones that you have. There's all the different claims. Everything that you fall for under mental health disorders, no matter what it is, falls under this criteria. The general rating formula for mental health disorders. No matter what you apply, it can be, you can apply for every single one of these. What they're going to evaluate is off of everything is how do you fall under this criteria from 0 to 100%. And then basically whichever one is the one that gets you that higher rating, that's the one that they're going to put as the highest rating. But you still have all the issues. They're just going to put it as that. So if you're at 70% PTSD, unless unless your somatic symptom disorder gets you to the 100%, there's no difference in filing for it. There's no unless you don't fall under this 100% criteria, an increase filing for the somatic is not going to change your thing. They're not going to up it just because you put somatic in there. You have to make sure that you fall under the 100% rating in order to do that, for it to be increased to 100%. You're not going to get a separate rating for SSD. Both of those are going to be combined into the same mental health disorders, but depending on what causes what, if you got PTSD at 70%, you're going to get 70% for PTSD. Somatic may be at only give you really 10%, but they're not going to give you an extra 10%. They're going to claim it as the same thing. And chronic pain from my knees, that's something either you can increase it, but like I said, it goes off of motion. And like I said, go into the CFR, check the CFR and see all the documentation there on the musculoskeletal system. I can't even talk. There you go. And then find it in this section, basically where it comes to joints and painful motion and stuff like that. Read up on that, and that'll give you the info you need. If you got any questions, I may be doing one of these again tomorrow night, Thursday night. Might do. That's what I might start doing. Just like couple, maybe throughout the day, where I could do like a little 2 hour, less than 2 hour stream. Sunday, it's like 3 hours or whatever it is. So Sunday always 12 noon Central Time. Veterans Workshop here on the channel. I do it over mobile and I also do it on regular TV or PC, so you can watch on both. Um, Throughout the week, we'll start making a schedule to have people like get views this way, and meet new people, interact with new people, answer more questions, and then we'll do one like sometime in the evening time during the week also. So we'll try to see if we can do maybe like 3 streams a week or something like that. But besides that, be good to one another, look out for one another, take care of one another, love one another, and stay marvelous while doing it. Love y'all veterans. Y'all take care. I'll see y'all in the next one. Enjoy the rest of y'all week. It's getting chilly out there. Make sure y'all put y'all coats on. Make sure your fireplace is clean. Y'all have a good one. I'll check y'all in the next one. Peace. All right, Mel. Appreciate you. See you on Sunday. Dash, thank you. Daniel, thank you. As always, appreciate y'all.